A massive fire breaks out at the downtown warehouse. To save my girlfriend's younger brother, I took off my own oxygen mask and handed it straight to him. The result? He makes it out completely fine, while the toxic smoke leaves me with a permanent level 9 disability. My entire future is basically ruined just like that. Lying there in the hospital, I accidentally overhear her brother bragging. He says the fire was actually his own doing, arson, just to scam the insurance payout. I grip my medical report tight and confront her, but she acts completely justified. My brother is still young. He cannot go to prison. Aren't you supposed to be a hero? Heroes save people, so isn't your sacrifice just expected anyway? I am shaking with pure rage. A violent cough makes me choke, almost suffocating me from the pain. Meanwhile, she just glares at me with total disgust. Ugh, looking at you like a crippled old man is such bad luck. It is just an injury, right? You are still breathing. You are a man. Stop being so petty about it. I am done arguing. Stepping out of the ward, I pull out my phone and dial a special number, one I swore I would never contact again after leaving the military. Uncle Lin, please send an investigator down here. I need to report an insurance arson case involving my own warehouse district. I barely hang up when a hand suddenly reaches out and snatches my phone away. It is Tam Tan Mat. Seeing the disconnected call right on the screen, a highly classified encrypted number, her face instantly drains pale white. Smack. A crisp slap echoes loudly through the quiet hospital corridor. My ear rings instantly, leaving one side of my face burning hot.
Before I can even react, she shrieks at the top of her lungs. Track, do not push your luck. Are you really trying to ruin my brother's entire life just because of your pathetic little ego?
How old is he anyway? Nurses and passing patients in the hallway all stop, their eyes full of shock. Holding my face, I look at the woman who hugged me and said I love you just days ago, suddenly finding her incredibly foreign and absolutely ridiculous. Right when I open my mouth to speak, Tam Tan Mat's parents rush over in a panic. Her mother grabs the coat of a passing doctor, tears streaming down her face. "Doctor, please, take a look quickly." Ever since his injury, Trak has been mentally unstable. He keeps having these delusions that someone wants to harm him. He was just making nonsense calls, claiming my son started the fire. His psychological trauma is too severe, showing revenge tendencies. You have to help him, doctor. Her father stands nearby, sighing softly while looking completely heartbroken. Why does this boy have to be so stubborn? The two of them act perfectly in sync, coordinating their performance without a single flaw. You can see exactly what is happening here, right? The sympathetic looks from the doctor and nurses slowly shift into suspicion, then mix with obvious caution toward me. I open my mouth to speak, but a sharp pain in my lungs makes me cough violently, feeling totally crushed. Seeing public opinion tilt entirely in their favor, her younger brother Tham Hao gets this incredibly smug flash in his eyes. He deliberately raises his voice to his sister. "Sis, Trak's hospital bills are certainly not cheap." Looking at him now, his firefighter job is definitely gone. His family is not wealthy either, so what happens with his future rehab treatments? He sighs, glancing at the crowd of onlookers before pretending to suddenly get an idea. Why don't we help him set up an online donation page? We can say he is an injured hero who saved someone and needs everyone's support. My injury is severe, but my unit compensated me generously. I absolutely do not need that kind of humiliation. Shaking my head frantically, I suppress a cough and firmly object. I will not agree to this. I refuse to do it. Tham Hao gives me a disdainful glare. "Sis, your boyfriend is so old-fashioned, his brain must be totally fried." Throwing away such an easy chance to make money. He clearly just doesn't want to build a good life with you. Tam Tan Mat waves her hand impatiently. "Stop talking. If Trak does not want donations, just ignore him. I am not worrying about his hospital bills. The money he saved for our wedding house is basically gone anyway. You need to understand your own status. Besides me, who else would ever want to marry you?" "I will come back tomorrow. You better think carefully. There are certain things you really shouldn't be saying out loud." The very next day, Tam Tan Mat brings a stack of documents and hands them to the head doctor checking on me. "Doctor, this is a remote consultation report I got an expert to review for Trak. Public hospital treatments are way too conservative. I want to transfer him to a private rehab center for much better psychological care.
The doctor holds the certificate and frowns slightly, clearly harboring some serious doubts.
Now pay attention. This is where the trap snaps shut. I am an orphan with 0 relatives left, and Thumtan Mot has claimed official family status since my admission.
She acts incredibly firm, and with perfectly legal paperwork, the doctor literally has no power to stop her.
Transfer procedures wrap up fast. 2 men wearing rehab center uniforms grab me, one on the left, one on the right.
They practically dragged me out of the hospital ward, violently shoving me right into a black commercial van.
Tham Hao, walking right beside us, suddenly leans down and whispers in my ear, "Once you are in rehab, just be a good boy and recover nicely."
My sister says you can only see people once you are totally cured to stop you from talking nonsense outside. Slam.
The car door slams shut, completely severing my only connection to the outside world. Inside, it is dead silent, with nothing but the low rumble of the engine.
I close my eyes as fractured memories pierce deep into my mind like sharp thorns.
3 years ago, there was another fire, way worse than the warehouse blaze this time. Back then, I carried Thumtan Mot right out of a residential building, completely swallowed by thick smoke. She had just graduated college. Her pretty face was covered in ash, but she just held on to me, crying exactly like a little kid. Since that exact day, we stayed together. She used to travel so far just to bring me homemade soup, staying awake all night clutching her phone, waiting for me to get back from my missions. I genuinely thought the person I saved was my whole future, the absolute love of my life. But now I completely understand. Maybe I was just completely wrong right from the very beginning. I should have let go way earlier. The car keeps moving steadily. Thumtan Mot is whispering with her parents, casually discussing how to treat me. I struggled to move, pushing all my strength to reach toward my pocket, feeling a tiny blade carefully sewn inside. A habit I kept from my army years, just in case of an emergency. Before I can even cut the ropes binding my hands, Tham Hao catches the movement. He mocks me. "Look at him, sister. This guy really does not know his place." Guess our boys did not welcome him nicely enough, since he still has energy to struggle.
Thumtan Mot's face instantly darkens. Quick as lightning, she snatches the blade right out of my hand, voice freezing cold. "Chanchak, do you really have to push me this far?"
She pulls a white medicine bottle from her bag, shakes out one pill, grips my jaw tight, and forces it in. I thrash around, but the intense lung pain ruins any chance of fighting back.
Down my throat it goes, a horribly bitter, choking taste.
Then, incredibly fast, a numbing sensation spreads through all my limbs. Every drop of strength drains away. My eyelids get heavy. And finally, absolutely everything fades into total darkness. Now pay attention here. When I finally wake up, I am already dragged into some building labeled as a recovery center. A few massive guys in white coats are pinning me down hard onto an ice-cold metal chair. Not too far away, Thumtan Mot stands watching, without a single trace of regret on her face. I stare straight into her eyes, using every last ounce of energy to reveal my real military rank.
Thumtan Mot, I am a member of the Long-Limb Special Forces. My files are highly classified, so there is still time to start this.
This is your final warning and your very last chance. But my only answer is Tham Hao bursting into loud, screeching laughter. Did you hear that, sister?
He actually claims he is Long-Limb Special Forces. Probably watched way too many movies. Completely delusional now.
Thumtan Mot just sighs, faking her pity. Chanchak, I know you always wanted to play the hero. You loved being a firefighter, but now your chances are gone, let alone special forces. Stop being delusional. Just stay here quietly and get treated.
Talking all this nonsense only makes people think your illness is getting worse. A sweet, metallic taste rises in my throat, and I cannot hold back a scream.
Let me go, you absolute criminals. I struggle like a madman, making the heavy metal chair rattle and bang loudly. Tham Hao loses all his patience, steps up, grabs a roll of rope from the nurse, and ties me tight to the chair himself. Loop after loop, until I absolutely cannot budge an inch. He leans in real close, his voice chillingly cold. Chanchak, this is my last warning. If you do not behave, I will give you a shot so you never wake up again. Anyway, a crazy guy dying in a mental hospital is nothing strange. If my sister had not shown mercy, how long did you think you could survive?
I stop struggling and go totally silent. I finally understand this is not some family tragedy caused by a brother's mistake, but a calculated plot set up 3 years ago.
The person I saved was actually a pit of toxic snakes, fully prepared to swallow me whole, blood and bones.
Seeing I have no reaction left, those huge men yank me back up and drag me straight into the treatment room.
You literally will not believe this guy. Thumbhow purposely walks ahead, fakes a slip at the door, falls forward and yells, "Sister, he just pushed me!"
Trần Trạch là complete insane, quickly teach him a lesson. Những ngự mã flanking me tick the signal. Giving me zero chance to fight back, massive fist và heavy boots start raining down on my body.
Tearing pain spreads all across my chest and stomach. My ribs feel like they are shattering. I am pinned brutally against the floor. Thum Teng Mat rushes over, looking super worried as she hugs her supposedly injured younger brother.
Then she shoots me a freezing glare and tells the men, "Do not hit too hard. He is a patient after all. His mind is not right."
I force every ounce of strength to lift my head, locking my furious gaze right onto her.
My stare makes Tum Teng Mat's heart race so fast. The words "stop looking at me like that" reach her lips, but she just stiffly swallows them back down.
She instinctively avoids my intense eyes. A man wearing gold-rimmed glasses, looking exactly like a typical doctor, steps closer, holding a massive syringe, almost the exact size of my own finger.
It is completely filled with a cloudy yellow liquid that literally makes you shiver.
The patient is extremely agitated, showing highly severe violent tendencies. The guy states in a perfectly steady tone. His voice is cold as steel. We need to administer a high dose of sedatives to stabilize his mental state, forcefully calm him down. Standing right behind me, Tum Hao nods constantly. Meanwhile, Tum Theng Mat bites her lip hard, finally giving a slight nod to agree. I stare fixedly at that needle, my blood practically freezing solid. The very second the sharp needle pierces my arm, Tum Hao suddenly trips, faking a fall into the doctor. The syringe slips from his hand, changing direction, launching straight toward my neck. In that split second, right before the needle pierces my neck, my long dormant instincts suddenly wake up. I fiercely jerk my head to the side, tightening every single muscle with all my strength. The sharp needle barely grazes my skin, leaving behind a nasty burning trail. And then, with a heavy thud, it stabs right into the wooden chair behind me. At the very same time, the effect of that awful pill Shen Ching Mo forced down my throat is finally wearing off. I push past the intense pain flaring in my chest, and I swing my leg, kicking over the medical cart right next to me. Crash! The loud noise makes those burly guys flinch and look back. I take this chance, using all my strength to totally break free, springing right up off the ground. Pure survival instinct pushes me to rush straight for the only possible escape route left in the room, that tightly closed door. But I barely take a single step before the door violently bursts open. A whole swarm of staff in white coats floods in, holding stun batons that let out a seriously creepy crackling sound. They act like a moving wall, slowly forcing me right back into the corner. Behind me is a freezing cold wall, and the room's only window is completely welded shut with heavy iron bars as thick as my wrists. Seeing me totally trapped and surrounded, Shen Hao gets this incredibly sick, twisted smile forming right on his face. He quickly snatches a heavy rubber baton right from a staff member's hands, and without saying a single word, that heavy weapon slams hard into my stomach. Bam! The sharp pain drops me to my knees, coughing violently, leaving a harsh mark across the freezing cold floor tiles. Ever since I exposed their true colors to the world, Shen Ching Mo has kept this totally indifferent look on her face. But right now, seeing just how terribly I am hurt, all the colors suddenly drain straight from her face. I can actually catch a tiny fleeting flash of real regret inside her eyes. To hide her wavering emotions and to crush whatever crumbling conscience she has left, she nervously speaks to the terrified staff who are just standing there completely frozen. Do not panic. This is just a normal part of the shock therapy, making him cough up all those harmful toxins inside him, so he can finally get better. Those words sound both ridiculous and incredibly tragic. Then, Shin Hao leans in close to his sister's ear, his voice as cold as ice.
Sister, he is already in this state, so we might as well just finish him off right here. We can just say he had a mental episode and his heart gave out.
If we let him walk out of here, our whole family is completely doomed. Shin Mo's body starts trembling violently. Trapped under this heavy, crushing fear of ending up in prison, the very last tiny shred of humanity she still has left gets completely and totally swallowed up. She gives a slight nod, a nod so tiny it is almost completely invisible, but it is definitely enough to seal my fate. That smile on Shin Hao's face twists into something absolutely horrifying. He raises the heavy baton high, aiming straight for my head, ready for the final blow. But hold your breath here. Crash! That heavy iron door gets kicked completely open by some terrifying force from the outside. A squad of guys in black tactical gear, fully armed, rush in like absolute legends dropping from the sky.
Their movements are just so incredibly fast. Before Shin Hao and those guards can even react, they are totally overpowered and forced hard onto the ground.
The leader of the squad is this middle-aged man, his shoulder insignias shining super brightly right under the room's lights. His eyes are sharp and cold, but when he sees me completely covered in terrible injuries and looking totally broken, all he feels is pure anger and deep heartbreak. Chenzei, I'm too late. Uncle Lin personally drapes a coat over my shoulders, leading me far away from that total nightmare of a room.
Outside, police sirens are just wailing so loudly, and the entire street is completely blocked off. Shin Mo, her terrible family, and every single one of their goons get tightly handcuffed and shoved straight into those police cars, looking like totally defeated losers.
In the interrogation room, I actually sit there for less than 10 minutes.
Desperate for a lighter sentence, Shin Hao just completely spills absolutely everything, blurting out all their terrible crimes as fast as he possibly can.
Terrified that hesitating for a single second would ruin his only chance. He confesses that the $3 million accident insurance scheme was completely planned out by him and Shen Mo together.
This guy even loudly claims his sister taught him absolutely everything. He says Shin Mo knew I loved her so much that I would risk everything just to save her brother, which is why she confidently staged that whole accident.
Hearing all this, Shen Mo crazily lunges right for it,
Scratching her brother's face and screaming out loudly, "You are totally framing me, you liar!" These two siblings, who always acted so incredibly close and bonded before, are now viciously tearing each other apart like wild animals just to save themselves.
You feel that disgust too, right? That pathetic scene is just too hard to watch. I look away. The sharp pain in my chest and injuries everywhere just make my head incredibly dizzy.
Uncle Lin quickly holds me up, his voice sounding super worried. "Let me take you to the hospital first. Just leave everything here to me. I promise I will get you a proper explanation."
I get transferred straight to the special care unit of a really nice proper hospital. Clean sheets, professional nurses. It honestly feels like I just stepped into a completely different world.
Right after changing into my gown, the door pushes open. A woman in a crisp military uniform, sporting short hair and this incredibly fierce aura, confidently walks right in.
Her name is Chin Jen. She actually used to be my vice captain, and she is also the daughter of a really close family friend.
When she finally gets a good look at my pale face and all these bruises,
A tiny, almost completely hidden flash of sympathy crosses her eyes, but her voice stays as firm and decisive as any real soldier's. Chenzei, just focus on resting and getting your strength back.
That shady, powerful backer protecting the Shen family? I will handle them personally. After Qinzhen finally leaves, I am the only one left in the quiet hospital room.
I slowly close my eyes, finally giving my tangled, messy thoughts a little bit of quiet space to just breathe.
Honestly, I never really wanted to bother Uncle Lin, the man my father saved years ago. You see, my dad was a true hero with some seriously outstanding achievements. After we lost him, my mom couldn't bear the grief and faded away. Since that day, Uncle Lin has honestly treated me just like his own son.
Tran showing up in that tiny fire rescue squad was actually not some random accident.
It was a strict mission inside Long Lang's secret plan to investigate a criminal syndicate. These guys were actively using the city transit system to pull off some massive smuggling operations.
In that fire the other day, by pure coincidence, it happened right at the exact target warehouse our team was heavily keeping an eye on.
It really looks like the big fish hiding under the surface cannot stay hidden much longer. 3 days later, Uncle Lam sends a message saying Thum Tang Wat wants a meeting.
Tan Trin had just brought Tran Track some clean clothes right then. She simply sets the stuff down and tells him to go see her.
She says he should at least get an explanation for himself and let that woman completely give up all hope. He stays perfectly quiet, taking that as a silent yes. The interrogation room lights are blindingly white. They shine down on Thum Tang Mat's exhausted face, leaving her looking entirely pale and totally drained of color.
She is wearing a simple tracksuit, hair completely messy. The second she sees him walk in, she reacts like someone totally desperate, grabbing a final lifeline.
Her voice is heavily hoarse, carrying these loud sobs. She slides right off her chair and drops to her knees across the table.
Tran Track, I was wrong. I was really so wrong, she cries out. It was all Pham Hao. He is the one who forced me to do this.
He told me he actually had a way for us to live a much better life. I was just foolish enough to believe his lies.
And my parents, they said my younger brother is getting married soon and needed your money. Since you were just a lowly firefighter, you definitely would not have much of a dowry.
If I did not cooperate with Tom Hao to scam the insurance, they would never let me marry you. Honestly, everything I did was completely for your sake.
She cries while slamming her head down hard, forehead quickly turning red. You see how twisted this logic is? He just stares silently, not speaking a single word.
Tran Track, look at me. Please, just look at me. Did you forget? You used to love me the most. If I even slightly frowned, you would worry about me for half the day.
Do you still remember? One year the winter was absolutely freezing, and at midnight I said I was craving baked potatoes from the west side of the city.
You did not say a word, just threw on your jacket and drove over 30 kilometers straight to buy them for me. When you handed them over, your hands were completely stiff from the cold, but the food was still hot. And for my birthday, you saw I liked this one necklace. Your monthly salary was barely anything back then, yet you survived on instant noodles for 3 whole months just to buy it as a gift. She keeps listing every single thing, every pretty sweet memory between the two of them. Honestly, before coming here, our guy actually wavered for a second. He thought if she truly felt regret, maybe he could give her some final dignity. But the more he listens, the more his heart just boils with pure resentment. Turns out, she still remembers perfectly well. She remembers exactly how he used to cherish her in his hands. She remembers how incredibly devoted he was, yet she still chose to use his love and deep trust to let Thum Hao completely ruin him. Watching her cry so pathetically, he only feels utterly disgusted and so bitter it makes him sick. She keeps on begging, her voice choking up until she can barely even breathe. Tran Track, for the sake of our past love, please forgive me just this once. I am willing to work like a horse, serving you my whole life. I am begging you. He just turns his head to look at Uncle Lam standing nearby, his face freezing cold as he speaks firmly. Uncle Lam. Arson for profit, intentional assault, illegal detention, and attempted murder. So many heavy crimes stacked right on top of each other. Process every single one of them. Absolutely no mercy. Thum Tang Mat's crying instantly stops and she snaps her head up, a look of pure terror on her face. He stands up and walks away, not wanting to look at her for even one more second. Our guy still has his own mission to finish up. The surveillance team Uncle Lam brought this time is massive in scale. They go straight in and completely search Thum Tang Mat's house. When they pry open the secret compartment under her parents' bed, wait until you hear this, they find rows of luxury boxes stacked up perfectly neat. Several Patek Philippe watches are still perfectly sealed with tags, and the closet is packed with designer clothes, many items not even unboxed yet. All that insane wealth is the exact price she traded for half of his actual life. Her parents instantly collapsed to the floor, frantically crying out, "It was not us. We do not know anything at all." Everything is completely the fault of that absolute animal Thum Hao. And that totally unfilial daughter Thum Tang Mat too. They conspired together to deceive us. Thum Tang Mat's mother says this while crying, tightly grabbing onto Thum Hao's arm as she actively confesses everything. Our son never cared about studying since he was little, even stealing money from neighbors. He was always fighting in school, and we truly could not control him anymore. Same thing this time. He said he found a path to get rich quick. We thought it was a completely legitimate business. Who knew it was actually arson for insurance money? Tum Mat's father is somehow even more ruthless here.
He reaches straight into his shirt and pulls out a tiny little USB drive. He says he secretly suspected his son and daughter were hiding something shady, so he quietly installed a recording device in the house, just in case he needed it.
That USB contains the entire audio recording of the conversation between Tom Thang Mat and Tom Hao. They completely discussed how to get him locked in a mental hospital, how to make his condition way worse, and finally have him perish in an accident. Facing this absolute rock-solid evidence,
The Tham parents do not hesitate for a second, ruthlessly throwing their own flesh and blood straight under the bus just to buy their own freedom.
Tron Track hears this story back from Ton Trin and just finds it entirely laughable. This family is rotten to the absolute core. For profit, they would easily sell out family, love, and even their basic humanity.
following Ton Trin's careful arrangements right here, I got transferred to the military's absolute best nursing center. She visited almost every single day. Sometimes she'd show up in her crisp uniform. Other days, just a simple white tee and jeans.
She never once brought up the remnants of the Shen family. Didn't even ask if I was still hurting inside.
She would just bring over the absolute latest military magazines,
Discussing some minor skirmish happening thousands of miles away with me. Or she'd just quietly pull up a chair right by the window, peacefully losing herself in a good book.
The sunlight hitting her made the whole room feel so warm and peaceful. I know exactly what she was doing, using that quiet presence to pull me out of the past mud, little by little. Slowly but surely, my body started recovering. I finally started meticulously piecing together every single clue I had managed to gather during my entire time working undercover. Absolutely everything connected to that massively sprawling smuggling syndicate. All these broken pieces, these scattered bits of evidence kept spinning around in my head, but somehow they just wouldn't link up into one complete solid chain.
That is not right, Tun Tring says, pointing right at the Kythi analytic transport map, her eyebrows furrowing just a bit. Every single month, right on the third Wednesday, there is a specific truck that completely leaves the main highway route,
turning straight into this abandoned stone quarry and stopping for no more than 10 minutes. And at that exact same time, an international flight from the Golden Triangle passes right over that quarry's entire airspace.
Now watch this realization hit. Her words explode like a thunderbolt inside my head. I stare intensely at that route, practically overlapping perfectly with the flight path. Suddenly, one single word I had ignored countless times before just jumps right out at me.
Airdrop? Seriously? Why did I never think of that before?
My entire investigation was totally focused on seaports and highway checkpoints, completely forgetting the most simple and direct method out there. Tom Hao being able to comfortably rely on Kythi Analytic was definitely all thanks to Tom Thang Mat.
But Tom Thang Mat is just some ordinary office worker.
How could she possibly get access to a criminal network of this high level? Because of those stupid, lingering feelings, I had subconsciously cleared her of every single suspicion.
Looking back now, that so-called love was just a massive blindfold. It almost made me lose the most crucial clue of all and nearly cost me everything I had.
Tần Trinh và anh stayed up completely awake for several nights.
She utilized the military intelligence system to pull up all the related data. Together, we combed through, carefully organized, and pieced together absolutely every bit of evidence we found.
By the time the final supplemental file got sent through the encrypted channel, the sky outside the window was already glowing with the pale white light of dawn.
Dinjing stands up and stretches. Her face shows a little exhaustion, but her eyes are shining brilliantly. Go get some sleep, Trunk Check, she says. All that is left now is waiting to pull the net in. I nod, feeling incredibly relieved, finally letting out a long breath that sweeps away the heavy pressure crushing my chest for years.
Exactly a week later, Uncle Lim personally comes to the nursing center,
carrying the final trial results right with him.
Tom Hao gets slapped with multiple heavy charges: arson, intentional assault, participating in smuggling, dealing new illegal substances, and plotting to eliminate people. His combined sentence is the absolute ultimate penalty, effective immediately. As for Tom Thang Mat, for harboring him,
Illegal detention, attempted harm, and actively participating in the smuggling ring, she is officially sentenced to spend the rest of her days behind bars.
Their parents, Tam Gien-guk and Lee Tu-lan, are charged for covering it up, forging documents, and stealing other people's assets.
They get sentenced to 15 and 12 years locked up, respectively. Uncle M finishes reading the verdict, then pulls a red-stamped document envelope from his briefcase, solemnly handing it right to me.
Right around that time, the military officially issued a formal decision to fully restore my honor after a thorough verification process.
It is completely confirmed that Captain of the Long Lum Special Forces, Chun Trek, fought valiantly against those criminals during the warehouse fire to protect crucial state secrets.
Unfortunately, sustaining injuries. At the very bottom of the document is the latest report on the heroic combat achievements of fallen hero Lum Vei Kwok.
My father, along with the official decision to award me the title of first-class combat hero. Uncle Lim steps up, patting my shoulder heavily.
That man, usually as tough as solid steel, actually has red rims around his eyes. You and your father are both heroes of this country, he says.
The nation and its people will absolutely never forget you two. All those false charges and humiliations I had been forced to endure.
In that exact moment, bathed in the bright sunlight, I am finally completely vindicated, my innocence totally given back to me. The day I leave the hospital, several black Honki cars with special license plates are parked right outside the nursing center's gates.
Inside are Tun Trin's grandfather and my dad's former subordinates, and you know exactly where this is going. They look at me, then collectively glance right over at Tun Trin standing nearby. Being stared at like that makes Tun Trin a little shy. Her usually straight posture stiffens up even more perfectly straight.
One old general chuckles lightly. Oh, Tun, look at this. These two kids are a completely perfect match.
When their fathers were alive, didn't they arrange a marriage for them? We just can't drag this out any longer. Another general chimes in to completely agree.
Exactly. Let's host it next month. Us old guys are still waiting around to drink the celebration wine.
On Tun Jin's normally ice-cold, stoic face, a very rare hint of a blush actually flickers past.
I look at my father's old comrades, seeing their eyes absolutely full of expectation and affection. My heart doesn't resist it at all. Instead, it feels like a wandering boat finally finding a peaceful harbor. The night before the wedding, Tun Jin hands me a glass of warm milk, standing right beside me by the window.
Chen Jack, she tells him, I know you have been through a lot, carrying so many heavy wounds.
She says he does not have to rush into love or force himself to forget his past. But she wants him to know, ever since she was 15, watching him shoot at the military base, she wanted to marry him. She promises to spend her entire life healing him. Her confession has no romantic flowers or sweet words, but I look at her and give a firm nod. The wedding day arrives, quite grand, but not overly flashy. When it comes to the ring exchange, everything goes smoothly. But right when the host announces that the groom can finally kiss the bride, a massive incident breaks out. Over in the corner of the hall, the waiters serving drinks suddenly pull out silenced guns hidden right under their food carts. They move fast as lightning, aiming straight at me. At that exact moment, the main doors lock shut. A loud click echoes, and all the lights instantly go out.
Panicked screams echo everywhere as the scene spirals into total chaos. The mastermind behind the family just could not sit still anymore.
Instinctively, I pull Tun Trin right behind my back. I whisper to her, it seems someone really does not want us to become husband and wife. Tun Ting just lets out a soft laugh, her voice totally calm and completely dismissive. We will have to see if they actually have what it takes.
The darkness cannot stop us. Years of special forces training have honed our combat skills for absolutely any extreme situation thrown our way.
All the chaotic screaming becomes our absolute best cover. She points out, one guy at 3 o'clock, another one at 9.
Tun Jing's voice is low, chillingly calm. I immediately pull her behind me and casually grab the cake knife off the table, holding it in a reverse grip.
Just watch this next move. A dark shadow lunges forward, and a cold gun barrel presses right against me.
I twist my wrist hard. A crisp snap echoes, followed by a choked groan, and the gun goes flying straight out of his hand.
Tun Jing leans in and delivers a flawless kick, easily taking down the other guy closing in from the side.
From the moment the chaos started to when both assassins dropped, barely a dozen seconds passed. The emergency lights flash on, revealing several veteran generals standing completely still,
faces cold as steel. Beside them, the bodyguards already have guns drawn. They shout to arrest them all. Not a single one escapes. A white-haired general shouts out loudly, his furious voice echoing. He yells about how incredibly bold they are. Daring to strike at a general's wedding, he orders a full search. The massive uproar triggers a thorough investigation that wakes up the entire military zone.
After an intense emergency interrogation of those captured assassins, the high-ranking mastermind finally shows his real face.
It turns out they relied heavily on their power, using their company logistics system as a secret transit hub to cover up an absolutely massive smuggling ring.
That major fire at Warehouse 812 years ago? The insurance fraud was just a side hustle. Their main goal was destroying dirty goods they could not ship out in time because of internal disputes. But the true mastermind, standing right behind this gigantic smuggling syndicate, is actually none of the public officials we had secretly suspected before.
His true identity leaves absolutely everyone in total shock.
It is Trio Ko-hein, the chairman of the Kuk Ki Vienhine Group, the guy holding more than half of this city's transportation network right in his hands.
He constantly appears on financial channels. Crowned with countless glowing titles, people actually praise him as a brilliant business genius.
Now here's the wild part. I distinctly remember he is actually attending my wedding right now. Uncle Lum's face darkens instantly. He grabs the encrypted phone off the table, his voice low, but carrying an unquestionable heavy command. Teams 1 and 2, lock down every single entrance to the hall. The target is Trio Kai-heng. Move in and arrest him immediately.
Tầng Trinh và Ai share một soft smile, hold hands deadly, và step right out of that temporary command room together.
Back in the wedding hall, the chaos is fully under control. The guests are still pretty shaken, but order has finally been restored. I slowly slide that ring onto Tan Tran's finger. It is the real end of my undercover days and the start of a brand new life.
Right at this exact moment, everything perfectly connects into one. The wedding concludes, the loud noise fades away, and Tan Tran and I ride back to the city.
She leans her head on my shoulder, already fast asleep. Her long eyelashes cast a soft shadow over her face. I hold her hand tightly, our fingers beautifully intertwined, just soaking in that peaceful warmth. When our convoy stops at an intersection for a red light, I unconsciously turn my head, looking through the glass to the next lane.
Inside a prison van, heavily escorted by the police.
Through the small iron window, a face I once knew so well appears, but now it looks terrifyingly foreign. Thum Tang Mat. She wears a grayish-white prison uniform, her hair shaved unevenly. She is deformedly thin, her eye sockets deeply sunken, as if all her life force got drained.
She sees me too, or rather, she actually sees us. She sees me in my sharp wedding suit, and sees Tan Tran in her stunning dress leaning on me.
She sees our hands proudly held tight together, and catches that lingering, genuine smile still glowing bright right on my face. A true smile straight from the bottom of my heart. Our eyes lock. Her gaze starts with pure terror, then twists into total madness. An extreme, bitter reluctance, before finally fading into ashen despair. Her lips slightly part and close, like she is silently screaming dark curses at us. The green light flashes on, and our car smoothly drives ahead. We leave that prison van behind, completely abandoning that stained past forever.
I pull back my gaze, leaning down to leave a soft kiss on Tan Tran's forehead. The past is truly gone. 3 months later, a message arrives from Uncle Lum.
Thum Tong Mat attacked a guard inside the facility, earning a much harsher sentence.
Transferred to maximum security, that former rival ultimately lost their life during a massive, chaotic inmate brawl. I finish reading the text, delete it, and slide my phone away.
You know that feeling of total closure? Through it all, my mind stays completely still. That name and that person just do not affect my heart anymore. I set the kettle down, walking over to hug Tan Tran from behind. She lowers her book, looking back slightly confused. What is wrong? I gently shake my head, staying quiet. I squeeze her hand tight, and together we watch the bright, beautiful sunlight shining outside our window. I know for a fact my life has finally entered a brand new chapter.
Everything tied to that old past has completely turned to dust.